30,000 fucking views. Thanks a lot. Very few blue check marks. All these people who tweet about how Meghan McCain's the devil every day.
Right.
And then they don't retweet this. I don't know why. Maybe it's too vulgar. You're the fuckers that are always like, take the gloves off. The gloves are off. I'm saying she puts guns in her pussy and you're not retweeting it. What else would you like me to do? And it's funny. I'm not making political points. I don't give a shit. I think it's hilarious that she's defending guns by saying that the AK-47 is like the most popular, like it's the prom king. Mm-hmm. I think that's just funny. Whether you agree with gun control, I don't care what you think or believe. So don't contact me through any form of social media and tell me, well, actually, none of it. Go away. I've done 9 rants about your opinion is superfluous. It's an afterthought. Your rationale is an afterthought. So don't get it. It's funny. It was funny to me when she does those things and says those things. They are funny. I'm a pro-gun guy to an extent, but how many massacres would get you to alter your position? It's a fair question. How many mass shootings would one a day do it? Would one a day get you to just look at it again? Just revise. I don't know. Maybe not. There seems to be hardcore people out there that don't care. And maybe it won't work. Maybe banning the assault weapons, maybe it won't work. But how many shootings would make you try? How many? What would you need? What would do it?
Yeah.
We have so many, as the great Eddie Pepitone said in his special, he's bored by them. They're boring. He was right. Eddie's right. They don't even matter anymore. No one cares. 17-month-old shot in the face. Next. No one cares. Yeah. Because people think that if we give up the weapons, the government will start to get tyrannical. Start. They'll start. What do you think the government would do if we didn't have the weapons? Let's think of it. Let's brainstorm. Do you think potentially the government might start spying on everybody, listening to their phone calls and reading their emails? Do you think possibly the government might totally suspend habeas corpus and say that they could decide that you were an enemy combatant and lock you up in prison and not charge you with a crime and keep you there indefinitely and torture you? You think the government would start doing that? You think the government would start taking whistleblowers and locking them in little boxes and making them go insane when they've said things like the military is slaughtering civilians and the NSA is acting without congressional authority to just wiretap everybody? You think the CIA might start spying on the Senate Intelligence Committee and destroying tapes of their interrogation, which many people and experts have said is tantamount to torture? Do you think the elites would start engaging in illicit sexual behavior like pedophilia on private islands? And that if that ever came to light, they might potentially murder the person who was about to testify, even though he was in a maximum security prison in New York City? Do you think they would get us into endless wars without any explanation? Do you think they would murder journalists? Do you think they would do all those things if we gave up the guns? Because we got an arsenal of guns. And everything that I just mentioned is fucking business as fucking usual. So what is the fear? They would just start locking people up right and left and can't. Maybe they would. I'm open to that thought process. I think that's a little too messy for them. Do you need to lock anyone up in camp? What is does the people need to go to work, right? So, you know, people think, or people have it in their head that we're like this country made up of freedom fighters who don't take no shit. We're freedom fighters. We demand accountability. And if you take our weapons away, it's going to get real bad. Because we're not shooting at squirrels in our backyard. We're demanding accountability with those weapons. Are we? If that was the case, it'd be 10,000 people right now, like they're in Hong Kong. Where are the street protests where you have the weapons, you have the guns, you have the guns, you have access to transportation? The people in Hong Kong, they don't even have guns. They're taking tasers to the face to show that they're pissed. We've had none of that, except a couple of theater kids fighting a couple of guys who can't get laid in Portland. That's the only skirmish we've had. We got a couple of vigilantes doing some version of West Side Story in Portland. And people act like, well, if they take the guns, it's going to be trouble. They're going to start stepping on our necks. Huh? I mean, I could be wrong. I'm willing to be wrong here. I'm willing to engage people. I have friends that are libertarians, it's a dumb thing to be. Private roads, destroy the government. We're going to live in anarchy. We're going to live in chaos. Those are always people who've lived with their mother for too long. Those are always people who would last about 3 minutes in a street fight that believe those things. Get rid of everything. Chaos and anarchy. There's a temptation when you're on that side of the spectrum, or you're a radical leftist, you know your ideas will never get put into practice. So it's easy to get very romantic about them. Doesn't matter. It's like picturing fucking somebody who's really hot and you know damn well you're never going to do it. And if you had the chance to do it, you're going to be nervous. You can barely get hard. You're coming in 5 seconds. It's not what you think it's going to be. But it doesn't matter because Jessica Alba's not fucking you. So you don't get to play out that fantasy and make it into a reality. And realize, I should fuck her good, right? I should make this fun for her. Your ideas are ideas. None of them ever. I talk to libertarians who I like as people. They're like, yeah, we should just have private. That's all happening already. There are gated communities. There are private roads. When that thing in Malibu happened, there were private firefighters. Rich people go to private. All of the schools they go to are private. All of that shit is going down already. How much more private shit do you want? There's every fucking 5 minutes in California, you run up against a gate. Because people are like, no, this is not for you. Not for you. This beach isn't for you. It's for someone else. There's a lot of private stuff. But I don't know if everyone was walking around with an AR-15. Is the country better off? I don't know. I used to believe, but no one really is interested in freedom. No one really cares unless it's about a gun. I've had people say to me, I don't care that they're reading my email. I'm not doing nothing. It's not the point. The point is you shouldn't have to be a child pornographer to care if the government is reading everything you do. It's not the point. Well, I'm not doing anything, so who cares what they do? Because you don't know what's going to happen. You don't know who's going to be reading that. You don't know what they're going to perceive as antisocial behavior. You don't know what you could potentially say to somebody. Well, I think the government's doing a bad job. FBI, you don't know. Think of the politicians really hate, whether it's the Clintons, whether it's Trump, whoever it is. You hand these people absolute power in every fucking area of your life. You don't give a shit. You don't care. And I try to tell people, I'm like, well, it's not good that they have this kind of power. Well, they're just detaining Muslims. They're just detaining terrorists and anime combatants. What? What's the criteria for that? If we go into your country and we start dropping bombs on it and you ain't pleased, you're an enemy combatant. If you don't walk out of your house and go, thank you, thanks for the drone strikes, thanks for the bombs. If you don't dance in the street, you're an enemy combatant and we should just be able to torture you. I don't. It's what the FBI does. I just read an article the other day that Ben sent me. And I've known this. The FBI like gives guns to mentally retarded Muslims. And they walk into a mosque and they pick some kid, some like young guy who's completely unaware that he's even a human being on earth. He doesn't know what the fuck's going on. And they hand him a bomb. And then they go, he's a terrorist. And then they put him in jail and they go, you better inform. We're going to torture the fuck out of you. Mm-hmm. What do you think they did with the Boston bombing? Why do you think we ever heard about that? You ever hear that trial? By the way, you think the media is above? The media couldn't cover that trial because they had SAMs put on everyone involved, called special administrative measures, put on everyone involved in that trial. You don't think the media would have been in there? You think the media didn't like it because Americans got killed? You don't think the media, you don't think it was salacious? A young kid, decent looking. They put him on the front of Rolling Stone as like the first fucking hot Vine star terrorist. This fucking young Vine star, like, they called him like the sexy terrorist. That was the direction they were going in. They were going to make him, into that. You don't think they wanted to be in there with cameras in his fucking face, interviewing him all the time? Well, they weren't allowed to do that. Mm-hmm. You didn't hear much about that. You didn't hear much about their friend who the FBI interviewed and killed during the interview. Killed him during the interview. We all swallow that. But if they took our guns away, the government would really start to overreach. The government would just start framing people and killing witnesses. They're doing it. They're doing it now. I get it. I'm not going after your gun. I have friends with guns. Guns are fun to shoot. I get it. People go hunting. I'm not. But this whole argument that you're the 1776 militiamen resisting this tyrannical government because you have a gun doesn't seem to be borne out by the facts. It's gotten pretty bad. If you need, go get a potato and put a Marlboro Light in its mouth and watch that and then press play on your phone.